Next on the Gospel Bill Show.
Let's see now. What are the things that lead to the downfall of every lawman? First, there's bribery, and now a sheriff isn't interested in that. He wasn't interested in the liquor. Cornpone, looking at your face gives me an idea. Police brutality.
What?
It's the Gospel Bill Show, featuring Gospel Bill, his sidekick Nicodemus, Miss Lana, good old Elmer Barnes, and the entire Dry Gulch gang.
Hey, Elmer, what happened to your hand?
Well, it's swollen.
Well, I can see that, but what happened?
It's broken.
Elmer, that's real easy to tell, but how did you do it?
Well, I got in a fight.
Elmer, haven't I talked to you before about having fights?
Well, I had a real good reason.
Yeah, and what was that?
The fish weren't biting.
Well, that's just really good, Elmer. The fish aren't biting, so you get mad and hit somebody.
Well, I didn't exactly hit somebody, more like something.
You hit something?
Yeah, a big tree, an oak tree as I recollect.
Elmer, you can't lose your cool and hit an oak tree with a fist.
Well, something just comes over me and I can't help it.
You can too help it. That's something that comes over you is temptation. Elmer, you're going to have to learn to resist that temptation with God's Word.
Well, okay, Sheriff. Hitting the big oak tree isn't such a good idea anyway.
Well, I think you're exactly right. See you later, Elmer.
Okay, see you.
What? Well, this is wonderful. A railroad is coming to Dry Gulch. Cornpone, get in here and make it quick. Oh, a railroad. It's all I need to complete my little kingdom. Cornpone, something wonderful is coming to town.
Oh, really? Is your mommy coming?
No, my mommy is not coming. I'm talking about real progress, Cornpone.
Ooh. Is the Sagebrush Cafe gonna put in a drive-through window?
No, the Sagebrush Cafe is not putting in a drive-through window. This is real progress, Cornpone. A railroad is coming into Dry Gulch.
A railroad with a real choo-choo.
Would you stop that? Here we have a chance to make some real money, and you're acting like a din-dwiddy, Cornpone.
Ooh, just think, Mr. Bidlow, we can go from Dry Gulch to Dodge City, and then from Dodge City back to Dry Gulch. Ooh, we can have a Sunday picnic.
Cornpone, we're not going to have a Sunday picnic. We're going to make money. Do you know what this railroad means? Folks will be pouring into town from back east. Railroad workers will have payroll checks to spend everywhere. Cornpone, we've got to create some places for those folks to invest their money. Places like dance halls, gambling casinos, and saloons, Cornpone.
In Dry Gulch?
Even in Dry Gulch, the color of money is still green. But we do have one little obstacle.
The sheriff.
For once, you're right. Give yourself a nickel, Cornpone. Now, I've got to get rid of that sheriff so I can operate my little scheme. I think we'll use a little temptation this time. And no matter how long it takes, or what you have to do, Cornpone, we're gonna find that sheriff's weakness.
Well, have you seen this about the new railroad?
Yeah, actually, I heard about it before it came out in the paper. One of my friends is a surveyor with the railroad. He told me about the whole thing.
Well, I just really hate to see it come.
Why do you say that?
Well, you know, a railroad coming into town, why, it'll bring outlaws and cutthroats and thugs, and it'll turn our peaceful little town into a wild and woolly city.
Lana, I don't think the railroad's going to change Dry Gulch that much. Besides, this railroad means progress. It'll do a lot of good things for our town. With a railroad coming to town, there's lots of money to be made. We gotta make a place for those folks to spend their dough, Cornpone. Dance halls, gambling casinos, and saloons. But we've got to get rid of that sheriff. If I know him, he'll stand in the way of everything we try to do to bring progress. Now, what is it that we can use to tempt that sheriff and get rid of him? Why didn't I think of this before? Cornpone, what is it that's closer to my heart than anything else in all the world?
Well, gee, Mr. Bedloe, I don't think the sheriff needs a new horse.
I'm not talking about a horse, Cornpone. I'm talking about the elixir of life. I'm talking about the oil that greases the wheels of progress. Cornpone, I'm talking about money. Now, I can't very well tempt the sheriff to get out of town by offering him money. So I'll need someone who's innocent, someone void of intellect, someone born without a brain. No one fits that description any better than you, Cornpone.
Why, Mr. Bedloe, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, the sheriff wouldn't expect anything sinister coming from you. Now you take this money and you wave it under his nose. You tell him that he can keep it on 2 conditions. Number 1, he quits his job as sheriff. Number 2, he leaves Dry Gulch immediately. You got that, Cornpone?
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Bedloe. I go into town and I give this money to the sheriff. And, let's see, gee, he could have all kinds of fun with it. Boy, he could have a party for his friends. He could maybe take some of them out to lunch.
That's not what I had in mind, Mr. Cornpone. You tell the sheriff he can keep the money on 2 conditions. Number 1, he quits his job. And number 2, he leaves town. You got that?
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Bedloe. You can count on me.
All right, Cornpone. Now get after it. Go tempt the sheriff. That sheriff ought to listen to this little offer. Why, that's more money than he makes in an entire year. After all, everyone's moved by money because money makes the world go round, the world go round, the world go round. Money makes the world go round, the world go round. Money, money, money. Wonderful Cornpone. Well, I hadn't seen you in quite some time.
Well, Sheriff, I've been really busy.
You know, I guess Mr. Bedloe does keep you hard at work all the time, doesn't he?
Bedloe, well, that's beside the point. Anyway, Sheriff, I've recently come into a large sum of money, and I was trying to think what I might possibly do with it, and well, the thought came to my mind that I could give it to you, and you could take an extended vacation with it.
Oh, you'd like for me to take that money and quit my job and leave town?
Why, Sheriff, we're thinking the same thing.
But we're not thinking the same thing, Mr. Cornpone. I'm thinking that that's bribery of a law officer. That brings 5 to 10 years in the territorial prison.
My mistake, Sheriff.
Well, you have a nice day, and you tell old Mr. Bedloe that I said hello.
Bedloe who?
Luther Bedloe, you're an architect of evil. I got big plans for the buildings at Dry Gulch. That church, I'll turn into a saloon. Oh, boy. Oh, good. Here comes Cornpone with some wonderful news, I hope. Now, let's see. City Hall would make a wonderful dance hall, and I can turn the library into a gambling casino. Well, Cornpone, what did the sheriff say? What's the good news, boy?
Well, Mr. Bedloe, he wasn't interested. He didn't want the money.
What? The sheriff didn't want my money? Wait a minute. If he didn't want my money, where is it, Cornpone?
Oh.
What? Don't tell me you've lost my money. Cornpone, don't tell me you lost my money. Where's my money?
Ooh.
Cornpone. Yeah, you've been using that greasy kid stuff again. Now, we've got to think of something to tempt that sheriff. What is it? Cornpone, what is it that drags men into the gutter every day of the year?
Marriage! We'll find him a wife!
No, Cornpone, no! It's not marriage. It's even worse than that.
You're not gonna send him to school?
Cornpone, not even I am that evil. Now listen, I've got something that'll tickle the sheriff's whiskers. It's Hooch, Cornpone, white lightning. Why, the last time I saw him, he looked a little thirsty.
Speaking of thirsty, I'm a little thirsty myself, Mr. Bedlow.
Yeah, don't you touch this stuff, Cornpone. Your brain's pickled already. You make sure this goes to the sheriff. Now get over there and tempt him with that liquor, Cornpone. You got that? Now, when that sheriff takes a snort of that liquor, he'll get hooked. And the next thing you know, we won't have to worry about him resigning. The people of Dry Gulch will boot him out of office because he'll be a bumbling idiot drunk. Come in.
Hello, Sheriff.
Orville Cornpone. Well, what is it this time?
Well, you know, it's a really hot day out today, and I was in town, and your face came to my mind, and, well, I wanted to bring you something to cool you off. It's my apple cider.
Apple cider, is it? Orville, this is moonshine whiskey.
My apple cider turned to liquor?
Orville, this is illegal. Now listen, I suggest that if you don't want to go to the territorial prison, you get out of my jail and take your temptation and your apple cider with you.
Yes, sir.
And tell old Bedlow I said hello. Hurry up, Cornpone, the railroad's coming, son, the railroad's coming. I gotta get busy building my saloons. Oh, good. There he is now. Oh, I can see it now. The sheriff took his first snort, and he's a drunk. And he resigns from office. No, he gets booted out. That's even better. Well, Cornpone, back for a refill already, I see. The sheriff took to the hooch that quick, huh?
Well, not exactly, Mr. Bedlow.
What do you mean, not exactly?
Well, he wasn't interested. He even threw me out of his office.
Threw you out of his office? That's bad news, Cornpone. Well, I don't know what we're going to do to get to that sheriff. Let's see now. What are the things that lead to the downfall of every lawman? First, there's bribery, and our sheriff isn't interested in that. And he wasn't interested in the liquor. Cornpone, looking at your face gives me an idea. Police brutality.
What?
Yeah, police brutality, Cornpone. You go out and you find the sheriff, and you bug him, you pester him, you get under his skin like you do me. And then the sheriff hits you.
Hits me? Well, what good's that gonna do anybody?
Cornpone, if the sheriff hits you and beats up on you, we sue him for police brutality. We boot him out of office for picking on you, Cornpone.
But what about me?
Oh, don't worry about that, Cornpone. The more beat up you get, the better. And if you survive the attack, nothing to worry about. I'll pay for 10% of your medical bills.
Oh, very generous of you, Mr. Bedlow.
Now listen, Cornpone, get out there and bug that sheriff. Get under his skin. Start a fight, Cornpone. Now go to it, son.
Okay, dokey.
Now, go on, take your okie dokie and get to it. I can see it now. Sheriff guilty of police brutality, booted out of office. And then I make money! Thank you, Charlie. These look real good.
Well, there you are, you mean person.
Mean person, huh?
Yeah, you're rotten all the way down to your boots.
Rotten to the boots.
That's right, and besides that, Your shirt is wrinkled.
Well, Cornpone, thanks for pointing it out to me.
Well, doesn't that make you mad at me or want to hit me or something?
No, not really.
Oh, well, take that.
Hey, Cornpone, what is this?
Take that.
Come on, what are you trying to do?
Well, doesn't that make you want to hit me, like, right here?
No, it doesn't make me want to hit you right there.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, if you keep this crazy stuff up, I'm going back to my jail, and I'm going to sit down in my chair, and I'm going to have the best laugh I've had in a long time. See you later.
Well, come back here, you coward! Chicken! Scaredy cat!
Ooh, there's a lot to think about in running an empire. I gotta hire a band for my dance hall. And then I gotta order kegs of whiskey for my saloon. And how many gaming tables, decks of cards, and dice will I need for my gambling casino? Cornpone, you're walking. You don't look beat up. Let me see your face. It doesn't look any worse than it normally does. What happened, Cornpone? Did you tempt that sheriff?
Yes, but he wouldn't hit me.
What? He wouldn't hit you? Well, what did you do?
Well, I talked bad about him, I insulted him, I hit him, and I even kicked him. I was brutal.
And the sheriff didn't do a thing? Well, Cornpone, you failed me, boy. I mean, every time I send you to tempt that sheriff, you come back without any good news at all. Maybe I'm going about this thing the wrong way. Hey, I know what I'm doing wrong. When you want to tempt somebody, don't ever use an enemy. The best way to get to that sheriff is through his friends. Yeah, through a friend. Cornpone, I think it's time you and I paid a little visit to the man with the turned-up hat.
Right behind you, Mr. Bedloe.
Yeah, we'll keep it that way. Come on, Cornpone.
Don't beat all. Since the railroad's coming to town, the interest rates just went sky high.
Cornpone, here's our man, Gospel Bill's friend. Nicodemus, you're just the feller I wanted to see.
Bedloe, what are you doing in town again?
Well, actually, I came to see you because I have some grave concerns about your sheriff's well-being.
Oh, really? Well, since when have you been concerned about anything but yourself?
Well, I have you to know that I have turned over a new leaf. Hallelujah. Anyway, I just was a little concerned about what would happen to your sheriff once that railroad comes to town.
Well, what's the sheriff's welfare have to do with the railroad coming to town?
Well, I don't think you understand. Once that railroad gets here, Dry Gulch is gonna be a different place. There's gonna be the meanest, low-downest, rottenest, no-goodest outlaws, hoodlums, and thugs there's ever been in any town in the whole West.
Well, Gospel Bill's handled folks like that before. I don't think he'll have any problem.
These are not respectable outlaws. These guys are the kind of fellas that set ambushes and shoot sheriffs in the back.
Really? Well, what can we do?
Well, if I were Gospel Bill's friend, I'd try to persuade him into taking up sheriffing in some small town that doesn't have a railroad.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Bedloe. Is this one of your tricks?
Honest to goodness, boy, this is no trick. We only have the sheriff's best interests at heart.
Well, maybe I could put a little bug in Gospel Bill's ear.
I sure think you'd be doing the right thing.
Okay.
Cornpone, it worked. Now we've got the sheriff's friends working for us. Let's go have a little visit with Miss Lana.
Gospel Bill, have you ever been concerned about your own personal safety?
Nicodemus, I think that's taken care of.
Maybe up to now it has, but the railroad is coming to town, and who knows what kind of unseemly varmints are going to be coming in. Why, just picture this. You're on your daily rounds around town, checking locks on the doors. All of a sudden, somebody comes up on your blind side, and bam, they let you have it.
Nicodemus, we don't have any outlaws that bad.
Well, maybe we haven't up to now, but the railroad is going to bring the nastiest of the nasties. Well, I know up to now it's been somebody wants to fight with you. They just come up and say, "Draw, Sheriff." But then it'll be, they'll see, oh, there's a sheriff. Let's let him have it.
Sheriff, I've really been concerned about you. I mean, I've been thinking, don't you think it's time you moved on to a nice, quiet, peaceful town? A town without a railroad?
Lana, who have you been talking to?
Well...
Come on, Lana, who have you been talking to?
Well, kind of an unlikely source. Luther Bedloe.
That's what I thought. How about you, Nicodemus? Who you been talking to?
Luther Bedloe.
Yeah, well, that's just about what I had figured. That Luther, he never gives up. He'd do anything to get me to leave Dry Gulch. Well, for your information, the railroad is going to miss this town entirely. The survey team just stopped in, happened to say they're moving 50 miles to the north. Now, since Mr. Bedloe was so concerned about my personal well-being, maybe I ought to just step out and have a little visit with him face to face.
Okay. Well, hey, guess we can go.
Well, now that the sheriff's friends are working for us, it won't be long till he turns in that badge, Cornpone.
Excuse me, Mr. Bedloe, gotta go.
Cornpone, get back here. We're about to be rich. Luther Bedloe, what are you doing in this town? Oh, I assure you, Sheriff, that I have nothing but the most honorable intentions in mind. What honorable intentions could you have in mind? Well, you see, Sheriff, I'm really concerned about your welfare once that railroad hits town. Yeah, well, what do you mean by that? Well, that railroad's gonna bring in the meanest cutthroats in the West. Well, Sheriff, these guys are the kind of men that shoot lawmen in the back. Since when have you ever been concerned about lawmen? Honest, Sheriff, I have no other intentions. How could I stand to gain from this railroad? Well, it doesn't matter. The new survey says it's gonna miss Dry Gulch by 50 miles. What? It's not coming to town? Oh, no. That changes everything. No saloon, no dance halls, no gambling casinos. Ah! Too bad, Luther. Looks like you lose again.
Poor Luther. It just seems like things never work out for him.
Well, it's because he's on the wrong side. If old Luther would straighten up and live for God, he'd always be a winner.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Hello, Elmer. Elmer, what happened to your foot? Are you all right?
Oh, yeah, hand's doing a lot better. Feels real good.
No, it's not your hand I'm concerned about. It's your foot down there.
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
Well, Elmer, you come limping in here like that, just pretty hard not to notice. What happened to your foot?
Well, not sure if you'd be real proud of me. I went out fishing, didn't catch any fish. I got real mad. So I went up to this tree. I was gonna slap the bark off of it. Then I remembered what you said. So I thought of some scriptures, and I resisted the temptation to punch out that tree.
Well, that's really good, Elmer. So what happened to your foot?
Well, you didn't tell me how to resist the temptation to kick a rock.
You know, the Bible tells us that when we're tempted, we're not tempted by God, but we're tempted by the devil. You see, the devil's business is to put thoughts and ideas into your mind to try to get you to do wrong. Now, most of the time, you can recognize what he's trying to get you to do. When you know something is wrong, be sure that that thought or idea came from the devil. But the devil has a very sneaky way of tempting people. Sometimes he sneaks up on you with a little bitty mask, and he tempts you with your friends. If you're not careful, you'll wind up doing wrong things because your friends are asking you to do it. And you know what? Even though your friends may be asking you to do wrong, it's still the devil who is behind the temptation. So you learn to say no to wrong, no matter who it is that tries to get you to do it. Even if that temptation comes from a friend, say no to it, because Satan sometimes uses friends to try to get you to do wrong. Looking at your face gives me an idea.